All right, welcome everybody. It is another Sunday evening, and we are here for another Chosky chat. We are going to continue our chats with the Hoka One One Project Carbon X2 participants, of which one of them will be me, but you don't want to hear from me because you hear from me all the time. We are going to talk with Hayden Hawks today, and he is already in the waiting room. Excellent, love it. And have an amazing conversation with this amazing athlete. So hope you guys are tuning in and excited. There he is. Hey, Hayden, how's it going, man?
Hey, good. How you doing, man?
Good. Hayden, you shaved the mustache off. It's gone. What's going on?
Yeah. This has been a thing this year. I got rid of it this year. It's a new me.
Okay, it's funny because I was just talking with Chris Brown, and he and Pat Reagan had a serious mustache competition going on. So they both just got like full on caterpillars. I'm like, this is about as good as I can do. So
Yeah.
we're working with something else here. But thanks so much for being here. Stoked to talk and hear a little bit about kind of your training, everything about Hoka One One Project Carbon X2. I'd love to just start there. If you want to just tell us a little bit in your own words about the event and like how you got involved and what made you want to be a part of it.
Yeah, for sure. So many of you know that I made I guess the switch back to Hoka this year, which I was really excited about. I was with Hoka before at the beginning of my career. Then I made a switch over to Ultra for a couple of years and just really missed the Hoka product and I completely love the Hoka product. I've been healthy in the Hoka product, and so I was like, I'm going to make that switch back and go back to the brand that I guess believed in me at the start and the product that I knew that worked the best for me. And so I switched back to Hoka this year, and the first thing when I was talking to my athlete manager with Hoka was he was like, hey, we're thinking about putting together this world record attempt for the 100K. It'll be in January. Like, what do you think about going after it? And, I've mostly done a lot of mountain stuff and trail stuff over the years, but I do have a track background, and I enjoy, dabbling on the roads a little bit and running some fast workouts. So I thought about it for a quick second, and I was like, yeah, sign me up. Let's do it. This is something new to me, something that will be a challenge and something that I was really excited to train and work towards.
Awesome. Yeah, and in case you're tuning in and haven't heard, so the world record that we will all be going for, I think there's about maybe 10 or 12 of us in the elite race. 6 hours, 9 minutes, and 14 seconds by Naokazami of Japan from 2018. And that's 5:56 per mile. It is blazing. It is a legit mark. Very, very fast running on the roads for 62 miles. So I guess, Hayden, like looking at this race, I think the first question that comes to mind is like, what is your goal?
Yeah, to break the world record, is the goal. I always shoot big in every race that I've done. I've always, shot to break course records, to win races. It's something that I believe I can do, and I maybe I have a little too much confidence in myself at sometimes, but that's something that I've always had is a lot of confidence in myself and confidence that I can put in the work and do the training that's necessary to be able to do something like this. And, I mentioned in a post the other day that when I first started my ultra running career, I sat down and I made a list of goals, about 5 goals that I wanted to accomplish at some point in my career. And one of those goals that I had set, 4 years ago was I wanted to break a world record. I didn't care what distance it was, but I wanted to at least attempt and go after trying to break a world record. And so when this opportunity came up to go after this, I was like, hey, this is the time to reach that goal. And, that's been on the mind the whole time was let's go after it. Let's go have some fun and run fast and try to break this world record.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it's such a big goal. It's so awesome. I would love to. Oh, and sorry, I wanted to address just one of the comments I saw come in. People are asking if it's going to be televised. Hoka is putting on a really awesome live stream. I don't think it'll be on TV, but they are going to be streaming it probably on their site, hokaoneone.com. And I think on YouTube I saw someone post that. They did, for what it's worth, this is the second time that they've done an event like this. They did it in May of 2019 as well, and the production quality was amazing. I was in the race, so I didn't see it, but from everyone I heard, it was really, really well done. Great commentary from Tony Revis, Kerry Tollefson, a handful of others. Eric Sansman will be on call again. So yeah, it's going to be a really, really well covered event. So you definitely are going to want to tune in. January 23rd is the day, which is not this coming Saturday, but the following one. So we will. I'm sure Hayden will post more details, and I will as well as we get closer to race day.
Yeah, I watched the event in 2019 and was super jealous that I wasn't in it at that that year, and I kept thinking to myself, man, why did I leave Hoka? Why did I leave Hoka? Like, this was my opportunity. But I'm grateful that they given us another opportunity, and I'm back with Hoka now. And yeah, like you said, the event was really well put on last time. Was an awesome thing to watch, and it really just kind of motivated me and got me even more inspired. And that's what I hope this event does for people this year. I know it's been tough with people and not having a lot of events and stuff for us to do, and we haven't been able to follow the sport very much because there's not a lot going on in the sport. So I hope this inspires people. It helps people kind of have something to look forward to, and something that they can really follow along and bring some happiness to their life.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that transitions as well into, I would love to talk a little bit about your year and your kind of training leading up to this event. I mean, you're someone who's had a pretty good year, I'd say, leading into this in 2020 in terms of racing and training and stuff, which, wrapped up with your win and course record at the JFK 50 mile. And, that mark is no joke. That's a Jim Walmsley record. So it's a big one. And I guess I would love to start with just like, so that race was 2 months ago, or excuse me, 2 months before Project Carbon X. And for those who don't know, JFK 50 mile, it's technically a trail race. I think it's maybe the first 15 or 20 miles are kind of single track, and then there's a whole bunch that's fairly flat, kind of towpath, and then there's some road in there too. So it's kind of a mixed course, but definitely different from like a flat road 100K. So I guess first, was it always your plan to do those two events? And just what was your kind of recovery and transition like after JFK?
No, I wasn't. I guess the whole year I hadn't been, planning that just because I wasn't with Hoka, like I said. And so when I
Right.
re-signed with Hoka in October, I sat down with my coach and I said, like there's not a lot of options for us. Hoka's bringing up this, that we might have a chance to go after the 100K world record. Should I take advantage of this? Should I go after it? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. At least we know that race will most likely happen because of all the procedures we're doing for COVID and everything. And so I was like, okay, let's do it. Like what's next then? What's going to be a good build up and lead into that? And so we kind of set it out to where I was going to do this 12-week training block into JFK, and then from JFK have an 8-week training block into the world record, and use the JFK 50 mile as a stimulus more than anything, and as a B race to help me get ready for the world record, which was my A goal. And so yeah, I always wanted to do JFK, and so it turned out that this was the perfect year and the perfect opportunity to do it. So I signed up, jumped into that race, and had a great performance there on really a B type effort. Like I was just kind of focusing on winning. I wasn't focusing on breaking a course record or doing anything like that. I just wanted to go out there and have a good, solid performance and feel some confidence and strength that I knew that I could challenge the world record. And so that's what I did. And the training was perfect leading into it. Had a great block of training. And then, yeah, after the race, I took some recovery time, jumped on the bike to maintain fitness. I've been putting a lot of bike actually into my training this year, and it's been amazing. It's built a lot of just strength that helps you maintain fitness after races, but also recover at the same time. And it was just an awesome thing to jump on the bike and do that. And then, I started my training block going into the world record, and it's just been great so far. Like the workouts have been right on point to where they're supposed to be. Everyone progressing, and I've been ahead of schedule of where I even thought I would be going into the world record. So have a lot of confidence and feeling very strong and ready to go.
Awesome. Yeah, we had a whole bunch of people who submitted kind of training specific questions. So specifically for this race, like you said at the beginning, you kind of made your name in these bigger mountainous trail races like CCC and stuff. How has your training been different working towards something like this Project Carbon X, where it's like, okay, you're just on flat, you're running 550 or whatever pace for as long as you can. How is that block look different from prepping for say CCC or even JFK versus this race?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've still implemented a lot of trail running actually in my training. I know that's one thing Jim's doing and you're doing as well a little bit from what I can see on Strava and stuff. But I still think the trails help a lot, even on the roads, like there's a strength that you can build on the trails and they keep you healthy is a big thing as well. And so I maintain and time on feet, you're going to get a little bit more time on feet being on the
Right.
trails. And so I still throw in trail, runs into my training. I'd say the difference though between training for like a CCC or a Lavaredo that I've done in the past and the JFK and the world record has been my workouts. My workouts are very specific to what I'm going to be doing on race day, whether that be JFK or the world record. They're hard, they're really hard workouts. They're really fast workouts. I'm doing them on surfaces that are very similar to what I'm going to be racing on. So before JFK, I was doing a lot of them on dirt roads and, dirt like paths and some on single track just to get ready for that AT section. Before the world record, most of my workouts recently have been on like bike paths or road, just so I'm used to that pavement. But then my easy days are on the trails still. And so it's a good mix of both. And then I'm also throwing the bike in there as well to get some more volume without beating myself up. And I think the biggest thing I've learned this year with training that's helped me so much with my performances and this breakthrough that I had. I feel like this year's been an incredible breakthrough for me. Like I feel like I've done well in the past, but now I feel even stronger. And honestly, I'm feeling like I've reached a different level in my performance and in my training. And I think a lot of that is due to I've focused a lot on not only training hard, but making sure I'm fresh and making sure that I'm recovering like I need to in between sessions. In the past, I was big on doing these humongous garbage mile type weeks, 150, 200-mile weeks. And a lot of it was
Wow.
just garbage mile that wasn't helping me. Wasn't doing a lot of really intense or hard workouts. Just kind of running on the trails and having fun. And yeah, that was great and everything, and it was fun, but it wasn't helping me improve at all a lot. And really, like I've learned that there's this fine line between working hard and also being fresh. And so my mileage is lower than it's ever been. My
Hmm.
workouts are harder than they've ever been. And I'm still getting a lot of volume still, but I'm doing a little bit more on the bike and weight training and different things like that, than just running garbage miles all the time.
Yeah, I love it. Garbage miles. It's funny because that was actually a question that someone asked. They wanted kind of your take on like junk miles with regards to ultra running. And it's like, I think that a lot of ultra runners, like you're saying, they can kind of get into this like, okay, I just need to go out and run as much as I possibly can. And, maybe if you're training for a 100-miler or something, that especially if there's going to be walking involved, like that is really important to just like put tons of time on feet. But I guess how do you differentiate between like what's valuable volume versus like you said, what's kind of just garbage, like making you tired for no reason?
Yeah, I think there's a time and a place for everything, right? Like you still need big volume weeks, but you don't need 10 in a row or something like, right? You need
Yep.
two, maybe three, maybe four big weeks leading into events. Your training has to be periodized where you're building up, you have your big weeks, but then you taper down. If you're just trying to run big weeks all the time and just running, like I said, garbage miles all the time, you're just going to be slow. Running slow miles is just going to make you slow. And so you have to kind of balance it to where you have your hard workouts, and I have my really big hard workouts that I do. And yes, maybe I'll do some garbage miles the next day after those hard workouts. I'll go have some fun and just run super slow, or maybe even do some hiking or whatnot for my recovery days. And that's okay. And I still can have fun and do my training, but I do have to have those quality days, and I have to make sure that I'm balancing it. And that's the thing that I've learned this year is balance. And I feel like I'm more balanced than I've ever been in my career. And it's turned out to help me and produce some really good performances.
Awesome. So speaking of kind of those big workout days, a couple questions we got about specifics. Was there one workout that you did maybe like in this last kind of 8 week block after JFK where you were like, yeah, that's the one, like it kind of gave you the confidence to say, I'm ready to go after this world record?
There's been a lot. I mean, there's been a lot of workouts that have really, I mean, it's just been a string of workouts. And I think
Hmm.
you can never look into one workout and be like, oh, that's the one, or, look into one bad day and be like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm terrible because I had one bad day. No, like you're only as good as your best days, right? Um,
Yep.
and so like you need to take confidence from your best days. But there were a couple workouts where I'd say like, yeah, I've strung together some really good 20-mile type days where I do like some workouts where, let's say like I think it was 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, I did a 20 miler at 5:41 average, and it felt super comfortable. My brother was riding his bike next to me, and we were just talking like conversation pace the entire time. I did throw in some like I did like a 10-8-6-4-2 or something minute breakdown. So there
Mm,
were a couple splits that were a little faster, maybe in like the 5:10, 5:15 range. And then I would recover in between those at like 5:50 pace, maybe 5:40 pace. But it just felt so easy and it felt so smooth. And I was just cruising with my brother riding his bike next to me, and
that's
he was
awesome.
feeding me bottles the whole time. And we were just having a good time. So that was definitely a confidence builder that I could feel so comfortable running 5:40s. I'd say also one thing I did leading into this break is, or into I guess my taper, is a lot of people might have looked at my Strava or seen some of my training and been like, I ran a 40-mile week 2 weeks ago,
Oh,
and
wow.
they were like, what, like why, what's going on, like why did you only run 40 miles that week? I did a couple bikes in there as well, but it was only 40 miles of running, and that was all part of a double peak that I'm doing going into this race. It's part of my training to get me ready, and it was
Mm,
a recovery week before 2 big weeks and then a taper. And it's something that I do that really makes me feel fresh and not overtrained on race day. And that's something that I threw in. But coming off of that week, which was this last week, I actually did two workouts this last week that were like, okay, I'm ready to go. I did
awesome.
a workout on Tuesday this week where I did 4 by 1 mile repeats. And those repeats I hit like 4:49, 4:40, 4:40, 4:37, and they felt very smooth, very controlled, and I just was cruising at 4:30, 4:40 pace. And then I followed that with 4 by 3 minute hill repeats, and those 3 minute hill repeats were just so strong. Like I didn't feel any fatigue from the miles, and so I knew that like there's this extra strength that I have that will play into the end of the race. And then I followed that up 2 days later with a workout that I did, my last long run workout this last Friday, where I did 20 miles at 5:43 pace, with pretty much alternating between 5:10, 5:15, and 5:45, 5:55 pace, and just alternating miles. And again, it felt very comfortable, very under control. And I think that's the biggest thing is like, yes, I could go to the well in all these workouts, that's going to do nothing for me. It's just going to
Right.
make me overtrained. I focus on being comfortable and under control in my workouts, and whatever pace comes with that is what I focus on. And knowing that I can be comfortable at 540, 550 pace, it really gives me a lot of confidence. So
That's awesome. Um, and speaking, you mentioned your brother with the bottles. We had a couple questions about nutrition. I know you mentioned this in your post, but will you tell us what your nutritional plan is for race day?
yeah, it's a little. I mean, it's a little. They just
You
sent
don't have
us
to give us
over
the whole
the.
breakdown, but
Yeah, they just sent us over the aid station stuff the other
yeah.
day, and I'm trying to still sort it out exactly how I'm going to do it, but focusing on getting around 300 calories an hour between drink mix and gels, some gel. And so it'll mostly be gels and drink mix, around 300 calories an hour. I'll probably alternate between drink mix for part of that hour, and then do water and gel for the other part of that hour. I've seen that if I do too much drink mix, I actually my I kind of get into a state of hypernatremia
Mm,
where I'm just not balanced with my electrolytes and my water balance. And so I'm learning that I have to balance it with drink mix and water. I have to keep that balance because if I want to not go into a state of feeling that way, I've had issues with that in the past. I've learned how to balance it really well, and it's helped a lot.
awesome. One other kind of training specific question, and you mentioned this again before, talking about doing some strength work, but what do you do for, injury prevention, kind of other stuff? I know you talked about the bike, but are you hitting the gym? Are you doing body weight stuff? Can you tell us a little bit about kind of what the non-running part of your training looks like?
Yeah, so with COVID this year and being home a lot, we decided to convert a room in our house into a gym. And so we made this really nice gym in our basement so I can just focus on that. Strength training has always been really important to me. I've kind of slacked on it sometimes in the past, but I've really been focusing on it this year. And I hired somebody to help me with strength training, and it's been really good. And I do about between strength work, core work, and mobility. I'm doing another probably 4 to 5 hours a week of that.
Wow.
So about 3 days a week, I'll do an hour and a half to 2 hour gym session, and some of it is pretty intense. Some heavier lifting, power type lifting to produce just some power movements, some plyometric stuff, and just stuff that's really specific to the little things that I'm going to need in a race. Whether that be hiking up a mountain. There's specific workouts I do for that, so I have that strength when I'm hiking or climbing, or the endurance that I'm going to need at the end of this 100K. I have little strength workouts and techniques that I do for that. And then always trying to keep my core really strong, and because that helps me, not get injured, and prevents injury more than anything is having a strong core. So yeah, I'm doing on top of the training you see on my Strava, I'm doing another 4 to 5 hours of strength training per week.
Awesome. Okay, couple last kind of general ultra questions that some people submitted. This is a fun one that I like to ask people. Which current elite road or track runner do you think would do best if they switched to ultra or trail running?
Elite track runner or road runner, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, that's I ran against a lot of the top marathoners right now when I was in college. So like Martin Heher, who just won the marathon project, I competed against him a lot during college, and that guy is a beast when it comes to like endurance type stuff. Like he was just a 10K specialist in college, and I think he just gets better the longer he goes, to be honest with you. And we're seeing some of that strength come out, with this marathon project win that he just ran, that 209. So I think he would crush ultras if he really wanted to. another guy that is kind of dabbled a little bit in the ultra this year, and I think could crush a race like a Comrades or something like that if he really wanted to get into it, would be CJ Albertson.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy's a beast. I competed against him in college as well. He ran for Arizona State. And yeah, I mean, he's another one of those guys who just gets better the longer it goes.
Yeah, it certainly seems like it. He's put in some crazy stuff this year, and then ran another 2:11 at the Marathon Project.
Yeah,
So
and I think
obviously,
he's got that craziness too. Like, I mean, ultra runners kind of have to
definitely.
have a little craziness. You kind of have to be a soul runner or have a little craziness to you.
Yep.
And I think CJ's got that. You can tell by some of the work he puts in.
Yep. Absolutely. Um, okay, and then we've had some younger people reach out who want to get into ultra stuff. What advice would you give to a young person, say a high schooler who's interested in ultras, either, right away or down the road?
Yeah, I watched your guys' interview with Jim the other day, and I kind of would say the same thing about what Jim said. Like I cherished my collegiate track and field years, my cross country years there at Southern Utah University. I cherished those moments that I had there. The things I learned from my coaches in high school and in college, they made me who I am today. And I would never be as fast and strong as I am today if it wasn't for those years that I spent developing that speed and developing that strength and learning how to train really in cross country and track and field. And so I would say, if I were you, I would go the cross country track and field route. I would be invested into that, become as fast as you can, especially with the sport changing like it is. Um, there's more and more faster guys getting into the sport. And if you don't have the leg speed, if you don't know how to train properly, if you don't, have those key, I guess, developing things that you learn as a youth from those sports, you're not going to make it on the ultra scene, and it's just going to get faster as we go. I
Hmm.
think we're seeing right now in this age, we're seeing a transition like the marathon saw back in the 1970s. you know, Me and you and Jim and these other guys, we're a part of that transition. And I think it's just going to get really, really fast as we go. And so, yeah, don't get left behind by just going out and running tons and tons of miles. Develop your speed, develop your training strategies, and work your way up. And that's what I've done over the years. I did cross country, I did track and field. When I first started in trail running, I did mountain running world champs. That was my first race that I did, and I did the La Sportiva Mountain Cup series, which was a series of like 30K races. Um, and then I jumped into ultra like a year or two later. And so it's okay to make those steps and develop yourself as you go.
Absolutely, yeah, 100% agree. Cherish your time when you can get fast, when you can run with your peers. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, okay, awesome. Last question for you, Hayden. Do you have any plans on the schedule right now for 2021 after Project Carbon X2?
Yeah, I got a lot of things on the schedule, but we'll see what happens, right? I
Yep.
mean, ideally, if things work out and we're able to travel and do stuff safely, I would love to, my schedule kind of is like Project Carbon X, Western States in June, maybe something leading into Western States, of course, whatever I can get out to. But yeah, Western States is the big goal for me in June, and I'm kind of using Project Carbon X as well as a springboard to into my training for Western States. And that's a race that I've really wanted to go out and take a shot at, and so I'm hopefully get my opportunity here in 2021 to go after Western States. And then there's rumor that possibly Comrades could get switched to September. I don't know if that'll happen or not. Right now, they've confirmed for June, but we don't
Yeah,
know what will happen. But if Comrades does get switched to September, that will be the goal.
nice.
Western States and then Comrades in September. and then hopefully finish the year off at World Championships in Thailand in November. And so
Nice.
I kind of have my A goals set, my 4 A goals. I like to set 4 A goals for the year, and then I fill them in with B goals. And so my A goals would be Project Carbon X, Western States, Comrades, World Championships. So
Awesome.
the Comrades might switch. We'll see what they decide with that. So
Yeah, we'll see. We'll keep our fingers crossed on that one. But anyways, this has been really fun, Hayden. Thanks so much for taking the time to talk with us. I'll see you in a few weeks. No, not even like a week and a half at this
yeah.
point. And yeah, everyone else, make sure you give Hayden a follow if you're not already. Check him out. He's on Strava, as you mentioned. He's here on Instagram, and yeah, we will be keeping you updated as we lead into Project Carbon X2 on January 23rd. So we'll have more updates leading in, and make sure to tune in on January 23rd. Check out our feed or Hoka's feed or any of these athletes' feed. We'll have all the info for you. So thanks, everyone. Thanks, Hayden.
Thank you, man. See ya.
All right. Have a good night, everybody. Stay healthy. See ya.